Hi guys, Mike back again today, MF Vape. Hope you're all doing very well. Good to see you all again on the channel. Thanks very much for joining me. Right, I've got a RDA for you today, a review of an RDA from a company called Oumier. They made the Wasp Nano last year. This little 22mm diameter RDA. I wasn't very impressed with it, even though others rated it. I found it gave too much spit back, it was too hot, and I just couldn't get any flavour out of it. Whereas others disagree and say it's their best RDA of 2017. Anyway, they've come up with a new one. This is a 24mm atomizer. It says 25 on the website, I'm not sure why, but this one is special because it can run in either horizontal or vertical coil configurations, and you can also put dual or single coils in it. So it all sounds very good, but we'll have to find out later. So we'll go down low, give it an unboxing. I'll put both the builds in for you, and then we'll come back up top. I'll give you my pros and cons and final thoughts. Alright, see you down low in a bit. Right, down at the table guys, and we've got the VLS RDA from Oumier. Here's the box it comes in. So we get a tri-tool, pull-out manual there. Get a bag with some O-rings and a couple of NI80 fused Clapton coils there. We've got some extra grub screws and a few O-rings and a squonk pin for squonking. And it also comes with a bag of cotton here. Right, so here's the VLS RDA. And I opted for the stainless steel version, which comes in this sort of frosted white finish with a frosted drip tip there. So have a look on the bottom first. We've got VLS RDA, designed and manufactured by Oumier. Peak insulator there. We'll come back to the base in a minute. Lovely frosted Ultim, well not Ultim, I think it's a PEI drip tip, so polycarbonate of some sort. And this sleeve just pulls off. Just have a quick look inside here. And here are your airflow slots. Now we'll come to the airflow in a bit. Branding there. Right, this section here, I'm not sure is supposed to come undone, but I did manage to get it off earlier. But I'm going to leave it on because I'm not sure it's supposed to come on. There you go, and it fits 810 style drip tips, and it's got the O-ring already inside. Right, so here's our deck. Right, this has got a reverse threaded base that actually comes off, so we'll just show you that. And this piece here, I'll just show you how to put the squonk pin in, and this also exposes a plate that has a rather large peak insulator. Right, so this base comes apart. There's your peak insulator, and that sits inside there. And we've got this metal plate, stainless steel, this is all made from, and that sits in there. So if you want to put a squonk pin in, that just goes in here. I'm not going to be squonking today because I'm going to be using a vertical coil build, and it's better for dripping. This RDA you can do stacked horizontal builds as well, and that is better for squonking. Right, so that's your base. There's your positive gold plated 510 pin there. Right, so here's your base, and that just screws back onto the bottom of your deck. It actually goes towards you. And the base is held on by 3 nice size O-rings there. Right, one of these posts is the negative, and I believe it's that one there. And this post is your positive. You can't quite pick it up, but there is a peak insulator just under there. It's quite an interesting post design, this, because the airflow can go through these holes here. And you have it in this configuration if you're using the horizontal coils, and you line up the airflows in that position there, and the coils are obviously sitting like this. You can have single coil if you like, but you can have stacked horizontal coils. So that's the position you'd have the airflow for the horizontal. For the vertical coils, they're going to be sitting in like such on either side, or you can just have one in the center as well. And it's best to have the airflow like this, so it's in between the actual posts, because obviously the coils they're situated so they're sitting slightly outwards here. So it's better, because otherwise the airflow is going through that way. It's not quite hitting the coils, so it's best to spin the actual top cap round this way, and then it hits the coils. Right, just have a quick look at how the clamps together. To show you by undoing these flathead screws here, so release them all. So you have two on the top, opposites. And two that screw down vertically. Very nice screws on here. Nice threads. It's very well built, in fact. Right, we'll do some measurements for you. And it's 24mm diameter. Take the drip tip off. And 27.6mm in height without the drip tip. Drip tip on. And we have about 34mm. So it's sort of average size, probably the same size as the Goon 1.5. Right, time for a build, guys. We're going to use the horizontal configuration first. So try and slip these on in. Right, so the coils I'm using in this one are the ones that came with it, the NI80 coils. I'm just going to speed this particular section up, just to save a bit of time. So you just clamp it all down with your screwdriver, use the coiling rod and it helps it stay in place. Then you do your usual pulsing and to try and get rid of any hot spots. Right, so once you've done the bottom coil, you want to make sure it's low enough to fit the other coil on top. I'm not going to show this part, but I'll show the what it looks like on top of the other one, but it's just exactly the same process. Just make sure there's a gap in between each coil. Right, so it should look something like that. Just continue to pulse and make sure they're both glowing evenly, and then we can get on with the wicking stage. Right, so that's about enough cotton for the bottom deck. Right, the top deck's a little bit different because obviously you need a longer wick and then you can sort of combine them together. So we need to be cutting round about to the bottom of the base there. Just giving it a bit of a comb out, and now we can fold it on in. Like I say, this bottom section actually does unscrew. And now you've exposed the bottom of the deck, so you can see that cotton there. You can just move it to one side, give it a little tidy up, And if you're using the squonk, just make sure the opening there is free. So it's really handy that the bottom plate actually does unscrew there. Right, so you just screw that bottom section back on there, make sure it's nice and tight, and if you like you can put the squonk pin in and then you're ready to go. Right, before we get onto the vertical core, guys, I'd just like to show you one little snag with this. When you put it on the device, because it's got that reverse threaded piece on the bottom, you can end up unscrewing the base because really you've got to put it on by holding that bottom ring there, and then it's tight there. But if you carry on spinning the top, it starts unthreading the base. So I just thought I'd better point that one out to you. Okay, so just keep that coiling rod in there while I'm tightening the screws there. I don't like flatheads, by the way. Much prefer Allen screws, but they work very well, but I just find you end up slipping off. There you go, tighten that down in a minute. So you've got one screw on the top and then you've got the one on the side. Make sure they're nice and tight. And then you just repeat on the other side. Right, another little trick with this on vertical mode is get your side cap. You can see where the airflow is going to be coming in. It's coming in from the side this time, not actually through the clamps. So I want to bring those down just a fraction. And this is where this comes in useful, by taking off the bottom plate. Grab your coiling rod and then you can maneuver it down just about level with that post there, I reckon. You can maneuver it this way as well, just get it in the centre. Somewhere around there. So we've now got them pulsed evenly. Now we can do the wicking. Right, to make wicking easier for the vertical cores, we just unscrew this bottom plate. Right, so you grab your cotton and then you can just put it on through the base. Repeat on the other side. Right, so here's the little trick you do now. You just snip the bottoms off at the base there. Then you can grab your tweezers or screwdriver and just fluff out the cotton on the bottom there. And then you can just screw the base back on. Right, and then you can cut the top as well. Like I say, you don't need masses on the top. I would say something around about there and there. Right, as far as squonking goes, I've tried it with the vertical coils, but it doesn't really work as well as the horizontal coils for obvious reasons. It just seems better when you're actually dripping through the top, it just, the gravity pulls it through the coil, but it does struggle to actually wick up from the bottom. That's where the 502 from J Hayes is a marvellous idea, where it's got the post that goes up through the middle, and then the juice can actually, the squonk pin I should say, goes up through the middle, and the juice can just roll off onto either side of the coil. But for dripping, you just need to have it something like this. So it should look like that. There you go. Dual vertical coil. Right, let's screw it on the drone, get some juice on it and give it a little bit of a squonk. So then you put your top cap on, and this time, instead of having the airflow holes in line with the base, like that's how you have it in the horizontal mode, it's best to have it this way round, in between the posts, because obviously you can see that the air can then travel into the side of the vertical coils. And as you can see through the mouthpiece there, when you're dripping, it's like a cradle, so that cotton's just going to feed the juice down both coils, and it does work very well. Right, so that's it for the build tutorial and the up close portion of this. So I'll see you back up top in a bit, and I'll talk about the pros and cons and my overall thoughts on this device. Hi guys, back up top again with the Oumier VLS. Rocking it in the vertical configuration this time, as you can see there. And you have the cap so it's facing, so the airflow holes are sideways on. Like I say, in the horizontal mode you have it so they're actually in line with the holes on the post. But for vertical it seems to perform better that way round. I think it does look very good on this double barrel. It's really good combo there. I'll put it on the pulse later on because I've got some white doors for that, so it also looks pretty sick. Anyway, what do I think about this? Right, before we go into the what I think, I'll give you some specs first. It says it's 25 millimeters in diameter on the website. I disagree. I measured it at 24. So that's the first thing. It's made out of stainless steel and a polycarbonate construction, and you can get it in this stainless and sort of frosted white finish. There's a black version and a gold autumn version. Right, let's go on to the pros and cons. What do I think about this VLS? I'll just have a quick vape first. Rocking it at 75 watts on the double barrel, and it's coming in at 0.21. Very nice. Right, we'll go on to the cons first. I did say earlier on, it is good that it's got this removable base down at the bottom here. But as you're tightening up, without the actual cap on, did explain you can actually, if you're grabbing hold of this part here, you can actually start undoing it again, because obviously it's got a reverse thread on the bottom plate. So that's just something to bear in mind. It does get hot as well, like I just found out then. The polycarbonate does protect it, but obviously when you're running it at 75, 100 watts, it's going to get hot. So when you're pulsing down low, when you're actually doing your build, you've got to be very careful not to touch these big posts, because obviously they can retain a lot of heat. And I've noticed the deck does get very hot indeed. So that's a con. Right, the screws as well, they're flathead. Some might like them, but I find that they're a bit of a pain in the arse to build on. So that's a con for me. I much prefer hex screws, the Allen key type. So I would prefer those, but I could probably fit some in. I'm not sure what they are. They're either 2.5 or 3 millimeters. So I'll probably try them on later on, but at the moment it's all good. It's just harder to try and do on camera when you're using flatheads because they easily slip off. So that's my second con, or third con even. And the other thing is, right, the O-rings, they are good, but it does seem to come off rather easily for me. I think they could just be a little bit fatter. In fact, that top one there has come off on me a couple of times already since I've been using it. So that's just something. We've all got plenty of atomizers, and if you don't, you know, you can easily pick up some spares online on one of the Chinese stores or something like that. So that's not a real biggie for me. But right, pros. How many pros can we say about this? Right, first of all, the looks of it, I think in this frosted white and stainless steel, I think it looks sick as tits. I love it. The 810 drip tip Pro fits all your goon sized drip tips. Like I say, it could be slightly snugger a fit there as well, but like I say, it's probably the O-ring tolerances. This only costs like $18.99 I paid from Vaping 101, so for the money, you can't really grumble for things like that, I don't think, anyway. So we got the looks. The deck is it's marvellous how you can actually, you know, just transform it from vertical into horizontal builds at the, you know, just like that. So that's a major pro for me. Right, what else have we got? The removable bottom plate. It is a bit of a snag, like I say, you get used to it, like, because you can start undoing the deck when you put it onto the mod, but when you've got the actual sleeve on, you don't get that anyway. But the fact that you can remove it, for doing the wicking for the vertical cores, it just makes it so much easier. You can push it through the bottom, then just snip it to the bottom of the deck there, like I showed you down low, and it just makes it so easy to wick. So yeah, that's a big plus. You can also use it in single and dual core, which is very good. I've only tried it in the dual core in both configurations because I think it'd probably be better suited for the dual cores myself. But I probably will try it in single core mode, and I'll maybe give an update video on what it's like in single core later on. Right, in the horizontal mode, if this is, I'll tell you what, like if you actually put it on, I'll just show you. I haven't got the squonk pin in at the moment, but I'll put it on the pulse. You know, I've got these new white doors. Tried to get the frosted white, but they ran out of stock. So we've got just plain white, but sitting on the pulse, I think that really is a nice little match up there. So very impressed with that. But with the squonking mode, I'll tell you what, it does. You have to. It doesn't really work in vertical core, but when you've got it in the horizontal mode, it wicks like an absolute champ, and the clouds you get they're dense as you like, and the flavour is just really up there. I'm telling you, this is a flavour fucking machine. I tell you, it's brilliant. It really is. Right, so vertical core though, it really does taste good as well. Let's give it another little bit of juice in it. Like I say, you just ram it on in there because you've made that little well of cotton on top of the cores. You know, let's give it another blast, shall we? It is nice. I think I need a few more watts on that. Let's give it 85 now. Oh God, the flavour just knocks you off your socks. I do like the vertical core. It's the first vertical build deck I've ever had, so I'm really digging it in that mode at the moment. But like I say, the flavour on both modes is great. Like the dense clouds you get in the horizontal mode is just phenomenal. Anyway, right, to sum it up, guys, $18.99 for a versatile horizontal or vertical core build RDA. It is just the tits, and I would go out and buy one if I were you. So that wraps it up for another one, guys, and I hope to see you again very soon. Cheers.